All right, everyone, ready to tackle the IELTS? Let's do it. Today, we are diving deep into IELTS prep using this awesome guide from IELTS Buddy. It's called How to Prepare for IELTS. Pretty straightforward, right? I know getting a great IELTS score can sometimes feel overwhelming. There's so much information out there, it can feel like, where do I even start?
That's exactly why we're doing this deep dive.
You got it. We're breaking it all down for you.
And the good news is, this article gives a really clear 5-step plan, a roadmap to IELTS success.
Working smarter, not harder.
I love that.
Okay, so step one, and this might seem like a no-brainer, but the article says it's super important, is choosing the right IELTS test.
It's more common than you think to pick the wrong test.
Yeah, I can see how it would be easy to overlook.
People just assume IELTS is IELTS, but there are actually two versions.
Two versions.
Yeah, there's IELTS Academic and IELTS General Training.
Okay, so what's the difference between those two?
Think of it this way. Are you taking the IELTS to study abroad at a university or something like that?
Got it. So if you're going the academic route,
Then you need IELTS Academic. That one focuses on like the kind of English you'd need for research papers, lectures, that sort of thing.
okay. And what about general training?
General training is more for folks who are planning to work or immigrate to an English-speaking country.
So more like practical everyday English skills.
Exactly. And this difference between the two tests is really important because it affects the format of the test, especially the reading and writing sections.
Oh, interesting. So the tasks and the type of language you need to use are actually different.
Totally different. So choosing the right test is crucial. It's the foundation of your prep.
All right, so step one, choose your battle wisely. Got it. Now on to step two, which is all about understanding the test format.
Knowing your enemy, right?
Exactly. It might sound boring, but it's super important to know how the test works, how it's scored, what to expect.
It's like learning the rules of a game before you start playing. It gives you a huge advantage.
Makes sense. And speaking of scoring, the IELTS is all about those band scores, right?
Yep. From 1 to 9, with 9 being like the ultimate English master.
I'm aiming for a 9. Just kidding. But seriously, those band scores are important. The article actually recommends checking out the official band descriptors.
Definitely. Those descriptors give you a really clear idea of what the examiners are looking for at each band level.
Ooh, sneaky insider information.
Exactly. And another thing that's super helpful at this stage is to start doing some practice tests. The ones from Cambridge are really good.
Practice tests.
Yeah.
I remember those from when I was prepping for the IELTS. It can be a little intimidating at first.
Totally. But at this point, don't worry too much about timing. Just focus on getting familiar with the different sections, the types of questions, the overall vibe of the test.
Get a feel for the terrain before you start sprinting.
Exactly.
All right, great advice. So we've chosen the right test, we understand the format, now what?
Now it's time to dive into the actual content and start looking at some sample questions and answers.
Ooh, that's where things get real. This is step 3, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
And this step is especially helpful for the speaking and writing sections because those are a little more subjective.
Yeah, it's not just about choosing A, B, C, or D. You have to actually produce language and be creative and show off your skills.
Exactly. And the best way to do that is to see how other people have done it. Look at some sample answers from high-scoring candidates.
See what works, what impresses the examiners. I love that. The article mentions that the IELTS Buddy website has a bunch of sample answers.
They do. It's a great resource for the stage of your prep.
Awesome. I'm adding that to my list. So by now we know what tests we're taking, we understand the format, we've seen some killer sample answers. Feeling prepped yet?
Well, hold on tight because step 4 is where things get really strategic. This is all about learning the tips and tricks, the strategies that can give you an edge on the exam.
Ooh, yes. Give me the cheat codes.
The IELTS Buddy website is your best friend here. They have tons of lessons that break down each section, explain different question types, and give you expert strategies for tackling them.
Awesome. Like a masterclass in IELTS test taking.
Exactly. They even suggest that you work on a different skill each day to keep things fresh and avoid burnout.
I love that idea. Like a workout routine, but for your English skills. And on that note, let's not forget about the importance of immersing yourself in English as much as possible outside of your structured study time.
Oh, absolutely. Watch movies, listen to podcasts, read books, chat with native speakers if you can. It all helps.
Make English part of your daily life. It's like training for a marathon. You wouldn't just run on a treadmill, right? You want to get out there, explore different terrains, build up your stamina.
Exactly. It's about making English a natural part of your routine, not just something you study for a test.
Okay, so we've got our strategy down. We're feeling confident. But there's one final hurdle we need to overcome. The clock step 5 is all about timed practice.
Ah, yes. The ticking clock can be a real pressure cooker, especially in those reading and writing sections.
Tell me about it. I remember my hand cramping up during the writing test. It's all about training your brain to work quickly and accurately under pressure.
Exactly. So once you feel comfortable with the strategies and you have a good grasp of the test format, it's time to put those skills to the test under realistic conditions.
Break out those practice tests, set that timer, and just go for it. No holding back.
Exactly. And I would say the writing section in particular needs some serious timed practice. It's often the one where people run out of time before they can fully express their ideas.
The worst. But hey, that's why we're doing this deep dive. Forewarned is forearmed, right? Okay, so we've covered the 5 key steps,
Yeah.
but the article makes a really important point. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal.
Right. Everyone comes to the IELTS with their own unique situation, their own strengths and weaknesses, their own time constraints, and the article does a great job of acknowledging that.
So it's not just about blindly following these 5 steps, it's about tailoring them to fit your own personal IELTS journey.
Exactly. And to help you personalize your approach, the article suggests asking yourself a few key questions.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's hear them. All right, so let's talk about those key questions. The first one, and it's a biggie, is time. How long do you actually have to prepare for the IELTS? Because obviously a week is very different from a month or 3 months.
Yeah, your study plan is going to look totally different depending on your timeline.
For sure. So let's say you're in that, oh no, I procrastinated zone, and you only have 1 week until test day. What does the article recommend for that kind of last-minute scramble?
Well, in that situation, it's all about damage control. You're not going to magically become fluent in a week.
No miracle cures, unfortunately.
Right. So instead, focus on getting familiar with the test format itself. Know what to expect, what the instructions are like, what kinds of questions they ask.
So it's more about familiarization than actual skill building at that point.
Exactly. Do some practice tests, get a feel for the timing of each section, that sort of thing?
Like cramming for an exam, but for English?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
If you can squeeze in some timed practice, especially for the reading and writing sections, that's even better.
Okay, so 1 week is all about tactical maneuvers. But what if you have a bit more time, say a month, until the IELTS?
Now we're talking. A month gives you a lot more flexibility. You can actually start implementing those 5 key steps we discussed earlier.
You can breathe a little bit?
Exactly. Aim for 1 to 2 hours of dedicated prep time each day. Work through those practice tests, study those sample answers, really absorb the strategies and tips.
So it's still intense, but at least you're not sprinting to the finish line.
Right. And even with a month, it's important to be realistic about your goals. Don't try to do too much. Focus on your strengths and address your weaknesses.
Work smarter, not harder. Right. Okay, now let's talk about the dream scenario. You have a luxurious 3 months to prepare.
Ah, now that's the sweet spot. 3 months gives you enough time to not only master the test-taking strategies, but also to improve your overall English skills.
So you can actually level up your English while you're prepping for the test.
Exactly. It's like an intensive English immersion program, but with the specific goal of IELTS success in mind.
I love that. So it's about incorporating English into your everyday life as much as possible. Watching movies, listening to podcasts, reading books, having conversations with native speakers.
All of that. The more you immerse yourself, the better. And while 3 months is a great amount of time, let's be realistic, language learning is a journey. It takes time and consistent effort.
No quick fixes, unfortunately. Okay, so we've talked about different time frames, but the article also stresses the importance of something else. Being honest with yourself about your current English level.
Yes. This is so crucial. It's tempting to just jump into the strategies and practice tests, but if your foundation is shaky, those strategies aren't going to help you much.
Right. You need a solid base to build on. So take some time to really assess your strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly. Do you need to brush up on your grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation? Figure out where you need the most work and focus on those areas.
And the article even suggests considering face-to-face lessons with a teacher, especially if speaking or grammar are your weak points.
It's definitely an investment worth considering. Having a teacher can make a huge difference in your progress.
Someone to guide you, give you feedback, and hold you accountable. It's like having a personal trainer for your English.
I like that analogy. And speaking of setting goals, the last key question the article asks you to consider is your target band score. What score are you aiming for?
Because obviously aiming for a 5.5 or a 6 requires a different level of preparation than aiming for a 7 or higher.
Exactly. It's like climbing different peaks on a mountain. The higher you want to go, the more preparation you need.
So be realistic about your goals and what it's going to take to achieve them. And if you're not sure what your current band level is, maybe take a mock test or even the real IELTS exam to get a baseline score.
That's a great idea. It can give you a sense of where you stand and help you tailor your prep strategy accordingly.
Awesome advice.
And with that, I think we've pretty much covered the main points from this awesome IELTS Buddy article, How to Prepare for IELTS.
It's been a really insightful deep dive. So much great advice and practical tips.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I could ace the IELTS.
Me too. But remember, this article is just the beginning. The IELTS Buddy website has a ton of other resources you can explore. Practice tests, sample answers, detailed lessons, you name it.
It's a treasure trove of IELTS goodness. So I encourage everyone listening to check it out. And remember, the skills you develop while prepping for the IELTS will benefit you far beyond the test itself.
Absolutely. It's about expanding your horizons, opening doors to new opportunities, and really embracing the power of communication.
Beautifully said. So to all our listeners out there who are on their IELTS journey, we're rooting for you. Remember, stay focused, stay motivated, and keep learning.
You got this.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the world of IELTS preparation. We hope you found it helpful and inspiring. Now go out there and conquer that IELTS exam.